Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today we are thinking about anorexia. Yes, that is a thinker. So that is what we will be thinking about today with Michelle. Thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on to my show, sharing your time and your perspective with me. You could be anywhere in the world right now, but you are with me. So I truly appreciate this time. So let's just dive right in. When you hear the word anorexia, what does that make you think about?
Hello, Mitzi, and thank you for having me. Yes, anorexia nervosa is a very serious topic, and so I'm very glad we're talking about it today. Just a little bit of background for your listeners. I am a 45-year survivor of anorexia nervosa. Currently, I'm 5 feet 11 inches tall, and I'm 130 pounds, which is very thin. So, in the midst of anorexia, when I was 16 years old, take 30 pounds off of that. That's where I was. And so it's a life threatening illness. Um, so I speak from someone that had it 45 years ago when I was an adolescent. I've recovered. I wrote a book about it. And so I have that, I bring that perspective to it. If you look at the definition of anorexia, and again, I'm not a doctor, and that's my disclaimer, but just my own personal experience, it is a brain illness that includes self starvation. And so that's the definition. There's more and more research coming out that it is hereditary. And a lot of people don't know the history of anorexia. It's not a new disease, it's been around for hundreds of years. And so if you look
Absolutely.
at like medieval Europe times, it was seen as a religious purification ritual. And so it was seen in a spiritual religious light. And right around the turn of the century, the 1900s, the 1930s, the 1940s, it started being classified as a disorder. So now the research is that it's a brain-based illness, and I describe it as the predisposition neurologically is the loaded gun, and then environmental factors pull the trigger.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, well, the last part's very interesting. The other part, is I'm glad that you shared it because I think people really need to break it down and really understand it from all avenues and all angles. And I think you were able to do that beautifully. So I thank you because people don't realize like this has been going on for years. This isn't something new. This isn't some trend. Has been going on for centuries, centuries. I mean, I remember being a little girl and having this complex and just feeling the need to be skinnier because my grandmother, she hated fat people. You know what I mean? She hated it. My oldest sister, she was always a bigger girl. So she would even convince her like, "Oh, I'll pay you for every pound you lose and everything like that." Like it was really hardening so for her, and like I would hear it, so it would be like, okay, so for me to have my grandmother love me, I need to stay skinny. So I would convince myself, okay, I can't eat. I shouldn't eat. I shouldn't do this. And then the me not eating caused me to have severe migraines. Like, oh my goodness, severe every single day migraines. I would have nosebleeds. I would just to the point where I felt so weak. And I realized it was because I need to eat and I had to learn how to just let her noise be noise and accept the fact that I need to eat. I can't stand being like this. I can't function. I can't operate. I need to eat. And if I get big, well, then oh well, I get big. It's okay. But as long as I don't lose control, you know what I mean? And that was my saving grace, was realizing like I can't lose control because I've lost control. You know what I mean? It was to the point where I had no vitamins in my body. I had no nutrients. They had to take me to the hospital and pump me up with nutrients just so that I can have something in my system. Like I remember that vividly. I would puke everything that even attempted to come into my stomach. You know what I mean? Bulimia was right there, right after. So it's just like people don't realize like these eating disorders can truly take over your life. So it's just like for you, how did you necessarily hide it? Or was it
Well,
always something that you were open, or it was always something that it was open in your family?
Well, you've brought up so many good points, Mitzi, that I don't. There's so much to talk about on this. If you talk about the umbrella of eating disorders, of which there are several in the DSM, which is the manual that doctors use to diagnose. If you look at all of them collectively, statistically, about 10% of the United States is suffering from an eating disorder. They're in the throes of an eating disorder, and that's about 30 million people.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
another half of the population knows someone with an eating disorder. And I can tell you, I went to a book signing recently, and everybody that came up to me to talk, they either struggled with it themselves or they knew somebody. And so, eating disorders collectively, it's an epidemic. With anorexia, you, with things like bulimia, as you said, it's easy to hide it because you pretty much you can go up or down a little bit. But with anorexia, one of the signs of anorexia is you lose about 30% of your body weight. And so you see your loved one shrinking. And when it gets to the danger zone, the critical point, someone has to step in, or there's the person's not going to make it. And another statistic with anorexia is that it has the highest mortality of all the mental illnesses. About 20% don't make it. And so the person shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. And another one of the symptoms is they have a distorted body image. And so there may be listeners out there that say, yeah, I saw someone that was just getting skinnier and skinnier. And I said something to them and they became very defensive and angry. Well, they don't see it. They don't, it's the brain that's sending them messages. There's the front center of the brain that controls decision making, habit formation, and body perception. Those, it's been proven that those all have a unique profiling in the anorexic. And so, for my case, I couldn't help myself. A lot of anorexic, they can't help themselves. But what's really hard is that the loved ones get resistance. So you can just tell if someone and is just getting skinnier and skinnier and skinnier, and maybe they're retreating a little bit from social activities. They don't want to go to dinner, they don't want to go to lunch because they don't want to eat, and they isolate. And that's also tricky because we just came through the pandemic. A lot of people isolated during that, and so that was easier. And all of the mental illnesses that occurred during that time. And so it's the loss of the body weight, the secretive behaviors. If you notice strange rituals with food that they're doing, isolating, and just kind of someone retreating from the world.
Yeah, yeah. People really do need to see the signs and just pay attention and be observant because a lot of the times it's exactly like you said, it's that body image. It's how they see themselves, and it's not necessarily the way that the world sees them. It's that body dysmorphia is squeezed itself in, and it's not. People don't realize that it has a lot to do with that. You know what I mean? They don't see themselves as the world sees them. They don't see themselves as already skinny. They don't see themselves as already beautiful. They see themselves as something that they can't even recognize. You know what I mean? And it's saddening because it's like for the longest time, like I would look at myself in the mirror and then I'd be like, oh, if I would cut this much off or this much off, I would just be like everybody else. And it took a toll on me, but then I realized like I have to start loving myself as who I am, and it's when did you realize that you had to start loving yourself for who you are?
Well, I was in the hospital for 3 months trying to get better. And one of the comorbidities of anorexia is depression. A lot of anorexics have depression. And so when I was in the hospital, I was 16 years old. And by the way, I had no idea what was wrong with me because this was 1981, and no one knew. Nobody. I grew up in a small town, and no one knew why Michelle was shrinking. I mean, no one knew, and even the doctors never really told me you have anorexia. And it was only until 40 years later, when I started writing the book, I obtained my medical records from 1981, and that's where I saw the diagnosis. So the doctors, God bless them, they got it right. But when I started taking the medication, that was one thing. I started to feel better, and I started to feel better about myself when I got on when they started giving me antidepressants. And then, secondly, there were some healthcare providers and social workers in the hospital that took a special interest in me, and they were kind to me.
Mm.
And at first, I was confused. I go, why are they paying attention to me? I'm a middle child too.
Yeah,
So, um, uh, and it puzzled me. Why are they giving me special attention? And then it finally started to sink in that okay, I'm worth being here. And I also felt a little embarrassed to think about being just 16 years old and giving up when I hadn't even started. So those things, just that environment, that supportive environment, and people being kind and helpful to me, and then the medicine, that got me on the road to feeling better and thinking I could do it. And quite frankly, not knowing how serious the illness was a bit of a silver lining because I didn't know what I was up against. And I just looked at it in very simplistic terms of, oh, well, before I eat, now I'm going to eat. But I will tell you that if I could have kept to the rituals and the control, because as you mentioned, it's the control thing. And if I could have kept to those rituals and control without losing the weight, I would have done it forever.
that's interesting. I mean, that has so much value because it just shows that we don't know what anyone in this world, walking, breathing, standing, sitting, whatever, wherever you're at in this world, we don't know where you're at and we don't know what it's going to take for you to just go off that cliff. You know what I mean? Where's that breaking point of just not wanting to live anymore? You could be 12, you could be 16, you could be 80, you could be 50. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, when you are shown that value, like, oh no, you matter, you have reason, you have purpose, you are real, that kindness really can change someone's life in a manner that, like, hey, now I'm an author, now I'm still living, now I'm still pursuing life, now I'm helping other people realize that this is something that they can adjust their perspective and realize they don't have to sit with these truths that they believe is truth, and they can confront them and realize that they're lies, and that they can move forward in a manner that brings them power. You know what I mean? So it's like, I have to ask you, how are you doing? You know what I mean? How are you doing, Michelle, after all these years and you can look back? How are you doing?
Well, I overflow. I just overflow with gratitude. I overflow with gratitude. Every day when I wake up, I just feel so grateful because I'm an example of someone that survived permanently.
Amen to
As
that.
I write in the book, I recovered. I went on to have a great career. I worked in healthcare. I got my master's degree. I got married. I moved around. I had adventure. I mean, I am so grateful
Yeah.
and lucky that I made it. And so I came from a small town and I'm not, so if I can do it, everybody out there that's struggling, you can do it too. You're stronger than you think. You have more power than you think. And the one thing that really disturbs me is social media because now the young girls are looking at the social media and it's glorifying thinness and all this. And just put that all away. You have your power, own your power, and you can fight this. It's just an illness like anything else, and you
Yeah.
can overcome it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that. I love that. It's just, you have gratitude now, you have motivation, and you have this inspiration knowing that if you can share your story with one single person and that saves that person, oh, That right there speaks volume because I say that all the time. Like if one single person can listen to one of my episodes or reads one of my books and they feel something flame something ignite in them to do something different or to realize like they're not alone, then I know that I am doing my job. And I think that is something beautiful. But in all honesty, you could have kept this information to yourself. You could have shared this with just the people in your community or who you're surrounded by in your circle. But why write a book and why share it with the world? I mean, what really ignited you to do this big move?
Wow, Mitzi, do you know how hard it was for me to write that book?
I believe it.
Uh, um, I didn't want to do it. I didn't, I didn't want to do it, but I got to the point where the discomfort of talking about this was overshadowed by the need to help people, as you said. And if just one person can be helped by my story, then I've done my work. But I, in 2020, when we were in lockdown, I obtained my medical records, as I said, and I remember that day vividly. It was right around this time. It was July. It was the middle of the summer. And I was terrified to make that phone call. I'm like, oh my God, if I make that phone call, that's starting it, and I don't know if I could do it. And then so I got the records and I read, wow, because I'm a voracious reader. I love to read. And um, I read and then those records, the fact that they existed was kind of a sign to me. And then I'll also share, spiritually about, I think it was the year 2012, so 8 years before, I went to get a reading done. And the spiritual lady said, the universe is waiting for you to write a book. And so that planted the seed. I'm like, okay, yeah, but I didn't know what about. I didn't know what I was going to do. And then when I got those records and I saw what was happening on social media with the thin glorification and thin inspiration and all that, that was when the book, it just came out. It just came out. It was like it just came through some other place and it just came out. And I didn't know a thing about writing a book. I just, tripped and stumbled along the way. And then I finally got it published on July 1, 2023. And I that's how I got it done.
I love it. I love it because it was just like it was a seed implanted without you even realizing it was a seed. And then you slowly nourished it. And then it was just like, boop, we sprouted. Now let's do something with it. You know what I mean? And I think it's beautiful because people don't realize like everyone has a story within them because everyone has struggled with something. You know what I mean? And if you struggled with something and you overcame it, or if you're working on overcoming it, then that's a story, that's a testimony, that's worth sharing. You know what I mean? And the fact that you went to book signings and you've had people come to you and be honest and was like, wow, this really helped me. This has healed me. This is something that has spoken to my soul. Like this is something that you can live off of, knowing that if you were to die tomorrow, you did your job. You know what I mean? You did exactly what you needed to do, and that was to help somebody else live better, knowing that they don't have to live with those same ideas, that same concept of this is how you need to live your life in this routine to stay this small. Because goodness gracious, before social media was glorifying being skinny, it was magazines glorifying being skinny. It was movies and TV shows glorifying being skinnies. It would be you go to some shopping stores and they would glorify being skinny. They would only allow you, I remember certain stores only being under a size 10, and anything 10 above would be considered obese and too big to even carry. Like, oh, we don't carry that, that's not us, you know what I mean? So it's just like with time we have seen it evolve and seen it change, and people are trying to learn to love their body. And I think that is the best part. Like, this is our body. We only get one of it. Why don't we just cherish it and do and be about it and embrace it the best that we can? It's not perfect. No one's perfect. Everybody needs to know no one is perfect. Nobody. So it's just like if nobody's perfect, then why not just accept yourself as you are? Because you're a whole human being, you're amazing. And it sucks to see that time is catching up to us, Michelle, because I feel like we can go down this rabbit hole in a whole new way. But what can be some lasting words that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
Well, we've talked about, let's talk about anorexia. And to finish the conversation, just know that I'm a spiritual person, and so I think everyone is here for a reason. And if you're struggling with an eating disorder, just you're important. You are important and you are here for a reason and you have a purpose and you have a contribution to make to the world. A lot of people are in a position where, wow, I know I'm sick, but I can't afford to get treatment. Look for a support group. Go talk to someone that you trust. Go talk to a friend. Talk to anybody and just know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and you have a purpose and you're important. You need to be here. You have gifts to share with the world. So don't ever, ever, ever give up if you are suffering from an eating disorder. And if you know someone, please, you'll come up against resistance, but just keep trying. Be gentle. Don't be judgmental, but just keep at it because with anorexia it only goes down. They can't get well on their own and they need help.
Yeah, I love that. People do need help. I mean, and people do need to realize that you're beautiful as you are. You're perfect as you are. You have reason, you have purpose. There's only one of you. You know what I mean? There's no duplicates. There's only one Michelle. Michelle, once you're done, that's it. There's no other ones. There's no duplicates. There's no copies. There's no extras. Like I say that all the time to my husband. Like we only have one son. We only have these sons of ours are only one. That's it. There's only one of you. There's only one of me. After that, that's it. There's no more duplicates. I can't go to the store and get a new one. Like there's no returns, there's no refunds, there's no exchanges, no credit, nothing. Like our lives are so precious as they are. It's like only if we can see that, and only if somebody can acknowledge that. And the fact that you also said, be patient with the person who's dealing with anorexia and still be that person, still be that rock. Oh, I value that because people don't realize that when you're in a storm and you feel like you're alone, knowing that somebody pops in here and there randomly to let you know, I'm here. I still love you. I still value your life. And if you need anything, I'm still here. You may not need anything, but hey, I'm here. Those people that just put up their hands for no reason, they get acknowledged. Why? Because they'll be like, you know what? I was always down, but at least that person was there, believed in me. You know what I mean? And that keeps them going. So it's like if you can just be that beacon of hope, then be that, you know what I mean? We all need to have that kinder, softer heart when we're dealing with people because man, we're all dealing with something. We're all dealing with something, and it's just have that kindness, goodness gracious. Oh my goodness, another rabbit hole that we can dive into. I'm ready to jump in it.
Oh,
Ladies
and
and
by the
gentlemen.
way, oh, and by
Huh,
the way, there's only one Mitzi, and
exactly.
what you're doing here is great. It's just great, and I'm sure many, many, many people are benefiting from your discussions. It's just great what you're doing. I'm a big fan.
Thank you. Thank you. See, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this conversation, because how could you not? Please go check out Michelle's book. I have access to the link on in the description. If you're listening in audio, if you're on YouTube, go click on the link. It goes straight to her book. You can get it on Amazon. You find it on Kindle. Get the paperback. Get whatever that works for you. You know what I mean? But do it if you know it holds value. You know what I mean? Holds value for you or somebody that you know. Send it as a gift. Do whatever that makes it work. But she has this great book, and I know she has more for her life. And if she has more for her life, if she has more for her destiny to continue on going, then anybody who's dealing with anorexia have that hope too, that there's more for you and there's more for your life and just keep going forward. Oh my goodness, please keep going forward and always keep thinking, y'all. Bye.